back, my beautiful soul family. So today I want to talk about a story time, but first things first, like that video, ring that bell so you guys can be notified for the next video. So today it's going to be a little bit sad because my brother's dog went into surgery, so my brother was really going through it. When that was happening, my brother said something very heart-chilling to me. He was like, regardless if you were here or not, it wouldn't change a thing. So I made us both some tea and I sat down with my brother, who was really going through it. So in my family, we're not very emotionally connected. We're all very independent thinkers, and even though we all share the same blood, we're just not that close. Hence why I got into listening to podcasts, I got into books, and I got into like business and finances, because growing up I was never really taught how to regulate your emotions, and guide you is so important. I didn't realize that until like later in my life. Ever since I read the Let Them theory, how it talks about if you're a parent, you're 100% responsible, not only just physical, mental and spiritual for your kid below the age of 18, but the moment they hit 18, they're adult, it's up to them. So I can whinge and cry all I want and be like, why didn't anyone teach me this in my youth? But at the end of the day, it is my responsibility to seek out and do them. That's why I went to counseling, when it's just like so much things came up and I was just like, all right, I need to pull out the big guns. So I went through this whole giant healing journey. It doesn't fix everything from the past. No, it does not. But yeah, back to the story. So my brother's dog went through surgery. She's an old dog now. She now has gray hair on her. So she's now an old girl, even though I still remember her being just a popster. Right now, spoilers alert, she is healing. She's on the lounge right now, sleeping underneath a blanket because it's raining outside. Like, reading these books, it changed my life of how to actually do things. So in my past self would be like, oh, I want to talk about blah blah blah. It's actually just making them stay in the past. So what I did instead was just be present, because that's what I learned from like my counselor. Sometimes it's just like just being there, saying nothing and listening does a lot rather than fixing things. Joe Dispenza, he talks about don't talk about your emotions or the past. You have to think about the future, because if you associate with the past, you're just going to repeat it and identify with it. But in this book, The Power of Now, this book talks about more like mindset, meditations and spirituality. I put on healing frequencies, put out his vision board. So that is what it looks like, his vision board. I already pre-ChatGPT printed off The Power of Now, like the pointers from it, because I know my brother does not read. I thought right now was like appropriate time. Like I didn't speak or anything. I just purely like snip it away and stuck it on his board. In his Power of Now, he's talking about, you know, you are not your thoughts. Be present with your thoughts. Bring it to the light so it can turn into light, but don't sweep it underneath the carpet. So I actually read him chapter 2, Consciousness, the Way Out of Pain. So in this entire chapter, it talks about the pain body and the mind. People go through pain regardless every single day. This guy right now, like, if he didn't go through so much depression, we wouldn't be here talking about this book, helping us guide through this emotion. Not manipulation, it's more so creating a space for the men in your life just to have a safe place to express their emotions. Not to dwell on them or identify with the pain, but a moment where they can just like, don't be judged and able to express themselves. What I find with men is that they don't really listen to women. They only listen to other men. So that's why I read this book to him. Did it help him? I don't know, but what I can say, it definitely guided him out of a dark place. After which I shared him a quote. I don't know where I got it from, but it's an old one. It's like, you only experience light to the extent of darkness, and we even put it on his little vision board. None of us knew how to spell extend, so it wasn't until later. So I put it on his vision board on the back, because in the past my brother always used to, you know, dump his emotions on me or project it, and that shut me down. Look, sometimes we all go through things. Don't project it on other people. I allowed a space for him to safely express what he's feeling, but I didn't allow him to identify with the pain. Instead, I taught him ways how to bring it to the light, let the emotion rise to the top, but don't put any identification to it, because at the end of the day, we have came from dust and we will return to dust. Pain is the equivalent of the resistance of change. So I turned this situation that could have been really a devastation into a safe bubble where you can freely express your emotion without judgment, but at the same time not allowed to identify from it and learn from this emotion, because your emotions and things in life are your biggest teachers. They're here to motivate you and teach you, but at the same time we all need a safe place where we can all express our emotions. So that's what I did. Did it change anything? I won't say it like, you know, oh my god, he turned out to be happy chappy afterwards, but what I can say is that like he was definitely processing it a lot more clearer, if that makes sense. Because when you take up on someone's, like, you know, anxiety, depression, hatred, it takes so much out of you that you need a couple of days just to emotionally depress. So that's what I did. I just created that kind of situation. It is hard, but at the end of the day, like, I went from my one before him, because now I know how to better help. After that situation, I also got him a new vision board. Here it is. It says, God is my best friend. He wants me to win, and that's why he made me strong to wear the crown and rule my empire. My dad was like, oh, your brother doesn't do that. He does XYZ, that won't work. And I said to him, monkey see, monkey do. So I can only do so much. At the end of the day, I am like the daughter. This is something that my parents should have taught my brother, not me teaching him. When I myself was going through it, my parents didn't help me. I actually had to do the reading. I actually had to do the healing. I had to actually do the meditation. I'm glad that I got him to that stage. And my dad, I guess he was silent. He had nothing much to really add to the conversation. He was just like, okay. And I was like, all right. And so yeah, so this is my brother's new vision board. So I was talking to him because he likes his motorbikes, he loves his car, so I said, why don't you put it on YouTube? And because I am doing YouTube, I decided to give him positive role models. So what I found interesting that I did was I put these men on this vision board, but I realized these are all men in the like late 30s, early 40s. So that wasn't very realistic. Now in their like late 20s, early 30s, and they are YouTubers. One is like Iman Gatsi. He was the one who, you know, he didn't recommend these books other than The Ways of a Superior Man, but one of his videos he mentioned this book. So I was like, all right, I'll read it. It only took 2.5 hours by audiobook by YouTube to listen to it, and even though it wasn't very gravitating towards me, it did show me like you know, how to transition from a boy to a man, and I like that. So I was like, I'll stick it on here for him, because I guess it can be confusing for men, because for us girls, we only have like girlhood and then time of the month, and now you're a woman for the rest of your life until you go through your second phase of your life. And I was like, I don't want to do that. But for guys, it's just that. So I also put this guy on it. He's Australian. He's the founder of the Woody and also Australia Shark Tank. And another book that I really enjoyed, James Smith. So I really liked him. So when I was losing the weight, I actually read his books. because that's what happens when you're trying to lose weight and stay off consistency. You just need to program yourself with influential people. So when I was actually reading this book, I like the part where he actually mentions women's you know, body, as in like their time of the month, and how men's bodies are different to women's body. And I like the part where he actually mentions it, because thank you, because in the past people were saying like women like losing weight of just like, you're just lazy. No, it's really hard. Each month they constantly go through cycles, and he was very gentle on that, and I really admire him for it. So he's on there as well. To be honest, I only see his wife a lot more. I relate to her a lot more, but this is my brother's vision board, not my vision board. So I just put men on there that I personally like with some quotes. But this one, Rob Dial, he was the one that got me into audiobooks, audiobooks and library books. He was the one who taught me how to make my bed every day. Everything's my responsibility. Inspirational like men on there. My dad was like, that's not how he dresses, and I'm like, you know what, you're the result of the 5 people you hang out with. So I decided to put some very well-dressed, groomed men on there. I believe these are working for my brother, because it worked for me for the vision board. I didn't really believe in vision boards to begin with. Ever since I started doing like vision boards and still putting quotes up every single day, I started off with like little quotes from The Gap and Again. At first I just left it there, and he just, I don't know if he read it or not, but it was a start, and he was collecting them. I asked him about it. I'm like, do they work? And he's like, it's an interesting part of my day. So I was like, okay, so he likes it somewhat. And then I gave him this vision board, so every day he wakes up he can look at that, because some days are not always the best for him, but like some, at least at the end of the day he can be like, all right, those are some people to look up to. And then I have my little quotes here: Napoleon Hill, David Goggins, Marcus Aurelius, because my dad likes Marcus Aurelius. And the guy on top of where I work, he's a therapist. I call him Professor Snake. He recommended it, so I was like, and then so far it used to be blank, but I just did it every day, little bits and pieces of very inspirational men. I realized that they are older. That's why in this one they're in their late 20s, early 30s. I believe they're working now, I believe, because today was kind of interesting, because one day I was walking past him tinkering with his motorbike, like four-wheeler, and I said to him, why don't you just put it on YouTube? And he was like, YouTube? And I was like, yeah, just put it up on there. I don't really care and stuff. And he was like, alright. He thought about it. I was like, and then today when I was presenting him with his new vision board, he was just like, I'm going to become a YouTuber, and I'm going to ride 4-wheelies on the beach. And I was like, okay, do whatever you want. And he was like, I'm gonna become a billionaire. And I said to my brother, don't do things for other people, do it for yourself. Don't expect approval. And it's so much more freeing when, I wish someone told me that. It's like, don't do it for other people, do it for yourself. And when you did make yourself strong, help other people. We will see how that will turn out, because is this manipulation? No, subliminal messages where it's just like, hey, don't come to me with your emotional baggage. I will create a safe place for you to express them, but at the end of the day, these are good men who are already vetted, who already went through the struggle, and they created YouTube channels to teach other men to become the best version of themselves. I'll give you what I've learned. Don't put your emotional baggage on me. Learn from these men, imitate these men, because men don't listen to women. They're not gonna listen to me, listen to them. I just simply created a roadmap. And I just program every day Marcus Aurelius. Support me if you want to support me with my little journals. Have a wonderful day, guys, and take care. Bye bye.